Yes, good evening, everyone. Mahek, you have joined, right? So you can start the demo, Mahek.
Okay, sir. I'll start that.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, sir. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Rathod. I'm assistant to the Dr. Amit Sata. So basically, this session will be the introduction to the Raspberry Pi. This is a single board computer that we'll be using to fetch the data. Also, we'll try to use the graphical user interface of the Raspberry Pi. It will enhance the visualization of the user. So we'll start from doing that. This board um, is a Raspberry Pi. As you can see, this is a very small motherboard compared to the uh, conventional laptops or personal computers. This single board computer enhances a very powerful uh, processor. So it uses a quad-core Cortex A72 processor, which has 1.5 gigahertz power capacity. Also, it comes in a variant such as 1 GB, 2 GB, 4 GB, and 8 GB RAM. Depending on our requirement, we can procure. Basically, we can use 4 GB or 8 GB variant because it has a nice capability of processing power. So we'll use a greater RAM so that it has we can use multiple programs in one Raspberry Pi. Also, it has wireless capacity such as Wi-Fi. It comes in both 2.4 and 5.0 gigahertz capacity. Okay, and then there is this Ethernet port over here, which has which has a capability to connect with Ethernet. There are these four USB ports available on this chip. Uh, these two blue pins are 3.0 port. As we know, the blue pins are 3.0 pins and black pins are 2.0 USB 2.0 pins. So you can connect four USB serial connection with Raspberry Pi actually. Okay, and then there are these two camera ports over there. We can actually connect two camera with this Raspberry Pi. Also, we can attach two displays with it. To attach a display with this, you will need a HDMI to micro HDMI port over there to to use this. Also, there are these 40 GPIO pins. I will show the 40 GPIO and introduce while this processor is booting up in the later part. So basically, this is an overview of every connection that can be done. GPIO, Ethernet, USB, camera. Also, there is an audio jack. Uh, Also, to boot this up, will require one of the micro SD card. When we are booting up, we place the system of operating system in this microchip that has been given by Raspberry Pi organization, and basically you can download it from raspberrypi.org organization. It is very much of open source, so you can download it for free and boot it up over there in micro SD card. You will have to place this micro SD card in a section over there and just power it. You can power this Raspberry Pi with two options. One is this port. You will have to provide 5 volt and 3 ampere power to this port. Also, you can power this Raspberry Pi using GPIO. these are the GPIO, and you will have to power it using 5 volt and 3.0 if you have SMPS over there. So depending on your requirement and convenience, you can power it accordingly. So now I'll connect it with this 7-inch screen. This one is a 7-inch screen, touch type 7-inch capacitive screen. You can connect it easily with this over here with HDMI to micro HDMI. Let me just arrange it. This pin is for the touch, and this one is for the visualization. I'm using wireless keyboard and mouse set, so I can insert this chip. I will insert this chip over here, and it will go smoothly. Will power using adapter. And there is one red light over there, and as you can see, as I powered it on, the screen booted up and it got started. So while this Raspberry Pi is starting, I will show the GPIO headers. It will around take 15 seconds for the screen booted up. So you can see it takes very short time, very quickly it got booted up, approximately 7 or 8 seconds. I'm using a VNC player to connect the screen with my PC. There is one inbuilt capacity. Let me just screen share it with you, how to connect it with Pi. So this one is a VNC viewer. Raspberry Pi has inbuilt VNC viewer. From this software, we can actually see the screen of Raspberry Pi. It is pretty much the same as AnyDesk or a Team Viewer. I have connected this one earlier, but I will be doing it for you so that you can get to know. Okay, so basically you will have to type the address given it over there. When we start the VNC viewer, it shows one IP address when it is connected to Wi-Fi, and we'll have to connect it with, and just while that it will directly show that the Raspberry Pi screen is on. Okay, so now you will be able to see Raspberry Pi screen. So now I have connected it with 7-inch resolution. So it has a little bit of pixel issue while we are seeing, but this Raspberry Pi can be connected with any of the screens such as 21.5 inch or 24 inch or 1920 into 1080 resolution. So it has a pretty much of a nice capability to connect with any screen. See, I have entered this 192.168.43.181 IP address in my VNC viewer to connect it with my VNC in PC, so that we can actually see the screen. As there is a glare from camera while we are seeing the screen, it will be a problem for viewing. Okay, it's nice. I'll be using first I will show you one of the demo introduction to the GPIO. So as I shown you, there is a 40-pin GPIO over there, and this one is actually a graph introduction or a graph factual representation to show you how to connect it with the Raspberry Pi. So there are these two 5-volt power pin in the rightmost side, which is shown by 2 and 4. You can power using GPIO from there. You will have to connect the one 5-volt pin over there and one pin with the ground. There are this RX TX pin. When you are using serial connection, you can connect with it. You can connect with I2C pins using SDA and SCL, which is GPIO 2 and 3. If you are using SPI pins, you can connect it with MOSI, MISO, and SCLK, which is 10, 9, and 11. You can use as many as PWM pins, which is GPIO 13. That one is 33 in the bottom part. Also, there are PWM pin 10. It depends on our requirement, how many requirements are there. We can actually connect it with. There are 6 ground pins over there. You can connect with it very easily. There are this 40 pin GPIO, but there is one issue that we cannot use analog sensor directly with this GPIO header. There is a provision of connection with GPIO. We'll have to use another modules to connect analog sensor with this Raspberry Pi. But as of now, with direct connection, we cannot use analog sensor with the Raspberry Pi. So we'll use Raspberry Pi with digital sensor such as DHT11, a MAX6675 module to connect it with K-type thermocouple, and MAX31865 to connect it with RTD. So basically, we'll use three of the temperature probes that are in establishment to connect it with the Raspberry Pi, because all three are digital sensor and we can easily connect it with Raspberry Pi. So basically, we can do that. It's very easy to connect it with. And yes, this will be our overview of GPIO. We can connect 3-volt pins and 5-volt pins over there. We can use serial. We can use I2C. We can use SPI. We can use PWM. All the protocols that are in existence to connect with sensors are provided by the Raspberry Pi organization over here. So we can actually connect it with. Now I will be sharing the screen of Raspberry Pi, and I will give you a little bit of demo to how to use it. Okay. So this one is Raspbian OS, Raspberry operating system. This is pretty similar to our Windows or Linux, which we are using. So the uppermost part is a navigation bar. We can actually connect with any of the sensor in existence. We can use any programs from over there. See, this one is a similar menu to our Windows. There are many programming parts over there, such as Blue Java. If you are using Java, there is one over there. Genie is for Python, Greenfoot for Java, Mathematica, MU, Node-RED. Node-RED is a software that can connect with any of the PHP files over there. Sonic Pi is for different type of machine learning. Thony Python, which we will be using for the Python. There are this education system which is SmartSim. There is LibreOffice to connect with. So we have Microsoft Office in Windows for different purposes. Similar to that, there are this LibreOffice Kelsey base, which is similar to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint presentation in different manners. To connect it with the internet, we have this VNC Viewer and Chromium web browser. VNC Viewer is particularly for the screen cloning, and Chromium web browser is a beta version of Chrome, which has a lesser RAM capacity and lesser processing power compared to the typical PC or laptop. For the sound and video, we have VLC Media Player. For the graphics, we have this image viewer. There is image and accessories part which can be used, calculator, PDF viewers, etc. For the preferences, we can actually set our preferences via this. We can configure this Raspberry Pi according to our requirements. So from our host name, we can actually change the name of this Pi. We can change the password. There is this screen interfaces, how many interfaces you want to do with the Raspberry. So this one is a particularly of interest for us because because we are using this Raspberry Pi to connect it with the sensor. So first there is a system of camera, SSH, VNC. VNC is for the screen cloning, SPI, serial peripheral interface. So serial peripheral interface, if you want to connect it with a NOT, this will enable or disable the connection with the sensor. If you are using any SPI pin, it will show that okay. It will show that if you are using I2C pins or if you are using SPI, it will enable or disable. Pretty simple. SPI is similar to that. I2C serial port, serial console, one wire or remote GPIO. Remote GPIO is from far away. We can actually connect with it. There is this performance, GPIO, and localization, which we can set for our time zone and other sections. So it is pretty simple. Now we will be using our DHT part to download it. First, I will open Chromium web browser from the top part. I will search Raspberry Pi DHT 11 binary GitHub. Okay, so as you can see, the first one is GitHub binary updates. Here we will have to I will connect, I'll click on code and then I will copy by clicking it over there. As you can see from over there, as I clicked on this button, the link got copied. Then I will go to this command prompt. This terminal is over there. When we are using any Linux or Linux based system, every work is done from the command prompt. So basically, if you are using Linux, get ready to connect to use terminal. There are as many functions to be used over there. We'll be using only two functions right now. First one is a sudo. Sudo is a command to give an authorization. If to get familiar, in Windows we use as administrator function. If you are using that function, it is similar to sudo. Sudo is pretty similar. If you want to install anything, if you want to uninstall anything, if you want to function it out, then we are using this function of sudo. Then we'll use sudo git. We are downloading from GitHub. So we'll use git function, then sudo git clone, and we'll paste it over there. It will not use Control V, but we will have to just right click and paste. So this got pasted over there. Okay, so I have this DHT11 Raspberry Pi in my system, so it didn't download it again. But if you will just do that, it will download it and there will be no issue to you. Now I will use ls function. Ls is for the list. Okay, so as you can see, there are this many folders over there to be used. I'll be using DHT11 Raspberry Pi. So to get inside that folder, we have to use cd function. When we use cd, it will use cd DHT11 Raspberry. So cd DHT11 Raspberry Pi. And when we use it, will be inside this DHT11 Raspberry Pi. As you can see from the left side, there are two repository over there. We will be using DHT11 example.py. So to use it, I will just connect with sudo nano DHT11 example dot. So as I entered sudo nano, it opened the nano command over there, and actually it opened the Python compiler, which is nano. And this code is by default from the cloning of our DHT repository. So when I use this sudo git clone and that URL, it downloaded this library from there alongside with other libraries that are required. Right now we have this example given from the library. We will be using the same example to connect with the DHT11 sensor. First one, we are using import function. Import is same as Arduino. We will have to define what kind of functions that we are using. So first one, we will be using import RPI. RPI is a short form for Raspberry Pi. RPI can be used for Raspberry Pi. Then RPI.GPIO. GPIO is the simply GPIO pins over there from Raspberry Pi. We will be using RPI GPIO as GPIO short form. Then we will use import DHT11. We will be using DHT11 library. Then we will use the time library to get the time from the computer. As you can see from top part over there, this can show actual date from there. The current time is 7:58 and Tuesday, and 8/6/2021. As you can see, it is from American side. So this library will use the current time of the Raspberry Pi. Then we will be using GPIO.set warnings. If there is no data from Raspberry Pi, that will show us that there is no data from the Raspberry Pi. Then GPIO set mode GPIO.bcm. That is a predefined function. We will be not going into that part, GPIO.bcm. From then there is this GPIO.cleanup. We don't require any cleanup from GPIO side. We'll be not using it. Then they are saying that we'll be using data pin from GPIO 21. But as you can see from this photo, 21 is a bottom part, and there are these 5-volt power pin in the top part, which are 2, 4. Also, one number has a 3v3 power, and 21 is in bottom, where is a little. There will be a shortage or a unnecessary task to define 21 as our pin. I will be using GPIO2, which is shown over there with pin number 3 in a section. GPIO2, which is SDA pin of Raspberry Pi. We will be using that. So yes, I will be doing changes over there. So we are using GPIO2. Then there is this instance. We are defining instance as our function. Instance equals to DHT11.DHT11 pin 2. So we are defining that we are using pin number 2 as our by default pin to fetch the data. And while it is true, the result will be shown. So result equals to instance.read. It will show the result when there is a result over there. So result equals to result.instance.read. It will function. It will read the data. If result is valid, it will print the data. So it is pretty simple. When we are using Python, we'll have to define what we want to do. If we want to do any function such as summation, we will not have to define that there is a variable called a which has value x such as 2. There is variable called b which has a data 3, and there is variable c equals to a plus b, and then print the data. No, in the Python part, it is very simple. A plus b equals to c, which is 2 plus 3, and it will directly show the data. So in this part, we are pretty simple that if there is no data, it will clean up the GPIO, but we don't require that part. If there is a data, it will simply print that. So pretty simple from our part. I will have to press Control X, then Y to submit it, and then enter. So it got entered, and then I will use Python 3 DHT11 sample.py. If it is correct, it will show the result. But as we haven't connected any pins over there, it will not show the data. So I'm just connecting it. For the moment, I'm closing the screen so that you can actually see while connections. Okay. This one is our Raspberry Pi. I'm not using breadboard as of now because of the space congestion. The orange pin is a data pin. I will connect it over there. Second, the yellow one is a voltage pin. I will connect it. Right side, second one, and the ground pin. is third one from the right side. So it is pretty simple. We have this voltage pin 5-volt power. I have connected it with using yellow jumper wire. As you can see, there is this yellow jumper wire connected with voltage pin. 5-volt power is connected with 5-volt power. Pin number 2. Pin number 2 of GPIO is connected with the sensor pin S, and ground is connected with it ground. So it is showing the data. So we'll go again back to the work. So as you can see, as I have connected the sensor, it is showing the data. Temperature is around 36, humidity is 57 over here. So basically it is showing every data, but we will not be using any of this pseudo nano or terminal. I will create one of the new files to show you how to use it in a proper manner. So we'll go in a file manager. This is same as terminal, but it is a graphical user interface of the Raspberry Pi. We can actually go inside using this graphical user interface or a terminal. Every time while we are developing any program, we tend to use terminal because of the simplicity while developing. But we can use also this graphical user interface, which is quite common in use. So I'll go inside this DHT11 Raspberry Pi. There is this section called DH. There are two files over there, which is DHT11 example.py. I will click it. So it will show you a true graphical user interface compiler. While the Nano was in a preliminary stage, this one is a quite useful compiler. We can actually use this to modify any script very easily. It is the same code that we have used previously to define any of the any functions. So basically here it is showing import.rpi.gpio DHT and time. Then it has this capacity to show you how to change it very easily. Okay. Then if you want to create any new Python files, you can create it from over there. If you want to open it, any Python files, we can open any Python files from over there. We can actually save it from there. Then there is run function, which we'll use it very shortly. Then debug function, if there is bugs over there. If the program is very big, then we can use debug functions. Stop, if you are running any function, then we can actually stop it. Then there is zoom function to zoom inside this program, but our program is very short, then we will not be using that function. And then the quit function to go outside this setup. So the code was running pretty fine, and we'll just check it over here. There is this permission error that I cannot use it. So we'll go to DHT11. We are not able to use it. So I will just move it to trash and use it. Sudo git clone, paste the code. Okay. So there was an error of permission as we have cloned it again, and that the unnecessary part we removed. It shows us the temperature currently 36 temperature and humidity is 58 degrees Celsius. So basically it is pretty fine. Now to, to check the code, we can actually change the GPIO pins according to our requirement and use it. There are these functions called, also we can use this Adafruit python.dht. Adafruit is a company that manufactures a lot of sensors in existence. So we will be using Adafruit Python library. I was using this DHT11 library because it was pretty simple to download it. And as if you will YouTube it, then you will find similar of items over there. And I'm designing this session so that if someone of you wants to conduct any of the experimentation to do with any of DHT11, Next 6675, and Raspberry Pi, then we can do it very easily. So our DHT11 demo is over here. I'll be showing some of the pretty much simple functionalities of Raspberry Pi so that you can connect it. You can get to know what are the pretty simple things that you can do with Raspberry Pi. Okay. First and foremost part, there is a screen attached over there. If you can see, this one is a touch screen and you can use it. See, if you can see, it is pretty blurry, but I'm sure that you are able to visualize it. So I'm using it on a touch screen basis. So if I'm touching this web browser from top, it got popped up. So this is a single board computer. We can create any visualization from over there. Uh, I'll be reconnecting it with. Okay. So as you can see, I'm again in this screen. You can actually create a local host inside this. We can actually um, if there is any equipment, we can actually design a screen for that. We have designed our screen according to that. So we can put this screen over there as of such. This is an exemplary screen for the permeability equipment, which we have designed for the permeability of the shell used in investment casting. You can connect it with Bluetooth from there. There is this Wi-Fi functionality. We can connect it with Wi-Fi. We can use these sound functions to actually use the sound capacity. The Chromium web browser will allow us to connect with any of the web pages, and we can for the foremost part we can use this Python. There are functionalities to use. We can also connect it with Arduino. I will discuss it in the Sunday session, I think, to be used. So it will create an enhanced experience for us. And yes, that will be it for us today. Thank you. Is there Amit sir? Hello, Amit sir.
Yes, Mike. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have DHT11 plus Raspberry Pi, right? And
yes, sir.
into the next session, we'll do Raspberry Pi plus K-type thermocouple and RTD sensor and plus DHT11. So now is it, Mike, actually, have we tried to visualize this thing onto the ThingSpeak or ThingView or not?
Sir, actually, the ThingSpeak will take around half an hour for particularly, and we had only 15 minutes regarding remaining in this session. when I connected this DHT11. So I just gave a brief interview of DHT11, and then we'll put this ThinkSpeak and Max 6675 and Max 31865 all together on ThinkSpeak. So we'll do in next session.
Okay. So everyone is requested to go through it, right? And any confusion and doubt, as we know that you can directly ask to the Mac, or you can send the query to me, and then we'll discuss that. So now it means along with the Arduino, I think we discuss all the, or say, entire set of the demo. The same thing we are going to repeat it for the Raspberry Pi, and then once we'll show that okay how the data is going to be connected, then we'll try to discuss the issue into the data handling or data pre-processing, or you can say processing of the data that can be used for the further utilization in terms of prediction or further analytics. And then if the time permits, we'll see that okay, once the best optimized result of the data set is available with us, how we can actually transfer that data back to the system itself, or some manufacturing system itself. So that's it for the today's session, right? So any kind of confusion, any kind of doubt, just feel free to ask, or you can also drop an email, or you can also drop a message related to it, right? So thank you everyone for attending the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.